Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this English lesson where we're going to talk about needs. Now, I'm assuming the first question someone's going to ask is, what is the difference between needs and wants? And I'll talk about that in just a moment. But we will spend about an hour or so learning about different needs, the English words and phrases that we use to talk about the things you need in life. You need things, by the way, like food and air, and I'll talk about all of those in just a moment. Needs are an interesting thing because as a society gets more wealthy, they actually think they have more needs. Like some of my students think having an internet connection is a need. It's something they absolutely have to have in life in order to survive. But I would argue that maybe it isn't. Anyways, welcome to this English lesson about needs. I'm quite excited to do this lesson. As I was putting the slides together for this English lesson, I was thinking and making notes on all the things I would talk about, and I think it should be very, very interesting. So needs versus wants. So it's kind of a matter of interpretation a little bit, but needs are things that you absolutely must have in order to live a healthy, normal life. You need things like a house to live in. You need something to eat. You need clothes to wear. Those are all things that you must have in life. You cannot live without those things. When it comes to wants, though, wants are things that you can live without. You don't need to travel to have a good life. You don't need to have fancy jewelry in order to have a good, healthy life. You don't need the best and newest computer. So needs are things you absolutely have to have in life. And we'll get to the basic needs in a bit. And wants are things where if you had them, maybe it would make your life a little more enjoyable, but you don't have to have your wants in order to survive and have a good life. So needs, you need. Wants are things you want. Hopefully that made some sense. I'm using the word to define the word. That sometimes can be a little hard to understand. You need food. One of the things you absolutely need in life is you need food, and not just food, you need healthy food. Everyone, in order to have a good, healthy life, needs to eat 2 or 3 times a day, and they need to eat food that gives them protein, that gives them nutrients. It has to be nutritious food. You need to eat a variety of vegetables and fruit. You need to eat a variety of proteins. If you're someone who eats meat, you'll eat meat, or you'll eat nuts or eggs or fish, or you'll eat things I'm trying to think like beans, other things that have protein in them. But you certainly, in order to have a good, healthy life, you need food. You also need water. And water is, I was going to say it's more important than food. They're the same. You can go longer without food, though, than without water. You need water all the time. Having access to clean drinking water, which we call, I say potable water. Some people say potable water. I'm not sure exactly what the right pronunciation is, but having clean drinking water, having water available to cook with, and having water available to clean yourself is very, very important. So water is the second need. And I'm talking right now about what are considered the basic needs. These are the things you absolutely must have in life. You need shelter. So shelter is an English word we use to refer to anything that a building or place where you live. It might be as simple as a small apartment. It might just be a room that you rent from someone. It might be a house. It might be a mansion if you have lots of money. But everyone in the world needs shelter, especially if you live somewhere where the weather is very extreme, where it's very hot or very cold. If you live somewhere where the temperature is just 24 degrees all day and all night, you need less robust shelter than if you lived in Canada, where it rains and snows and sometimes the temperature goes below freezing. So you definitely need shelter. And you need air. You need to breathe. Every moment of the day, we are breathing in and breathing out. Our bodies need oxygen in order to function. So air is definitely one of your basic needs. You can tell it's one of your basic needs if you try to hold your breath. and see how long you can hold your breath. I can only hold my breath for about 30 or 40 seconds. That's about it. And then I need to start breathing again. You hold your breath when you jump underwater. When I jump in a pool now, I plug my nose and I close my mouth and I hold my breath. And I can go underwater for about, if I'm swimming vigorously, I can swim underwater for about 20 or 30 seconds. I think that's about it. But you definitely need air, definitely one of the basic needs in order to live on this planet. And you need sleep. Humans and a lot of other animals, kind of a strange behavior if you think about it. For about 6 to 10 hours every 24 hours, you just lay and sleep somewhere. It's something that you need to do. It helps your body repair itself. It helps your mind rest. Some people think that when you sleep, your mind stores memories from the day, or your mind is actively doing something. I'm not an expert on this, but sleep is something that you definitely need. And you realize you need sleep if you ever don't sleep for a long period of time. Sometimes I toss and turn all night. I only get about 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And then the next day I realize how badly I need sleep. Sleep is very, very important. When I was younger, I would sometimes go out with friends and we would stay out late or we would stay out all night. And then certainly the next day, I would feel very, very tired because I hadn't slept. So sleep is a very, very important thing that you need in life. And you need clothing. Now, culturally, people dress differently in different parts of the world, but it's pretty much accepted around the world that there is clothing that you need to wear in order to go out in public. In Canada, most people wear pants and shirts when they go out in public. When we go to the beach, women might wear a bathing suit or a bikini. Men will just wear swimming trunks or a swimsuit. But generally, when you go to a store, you're expected to be wearing a shirt, pants or shorts, and even shoes in Canada. So depending on where you live, there might be a different expectation, but we certainly need clothing because it's culturally appropriate, but it's also because of the weather. In the winter, I need to wear a winter coat and gloves. That is the appropriate clothing for the weather. And we need safety. What we mean by this is we need to live in a world. Humans have a need to live in a world where they feel safe. Some of us know that there are parts of our cities or countries where it's not safe to go. But generally what you want in life is you want your house to be a safe place to live. You want your city or town to be a safe place to be in. And you'll know, like there are parts of Toronto and other cities where it's not safe to go at night. And so I think most cities in the world have this, where generally during the day, things are fairly safe. But there are some places in your cities, I'm sure, where at night it's not safe to go there. So people need safety. And then let's do one more and then I'll get to some questions. People need a sense of security. So security is similar to safety. Security can mean that you have a job where you have enough money every month. So you have financial security. You might have access to really good food. So there's some security. You know that you can buy food every time you go to the grocery store. And it can be something as basic as that there are people that keep the world organized. And I'll do one more slide. People need law and order. So it has been shown that countries, sorry, I just had a little bit of a glitch there. Let me check something here. Yeah, I'm going to keep going here. I think things are working, but I'll double check in a sec. It has been shown that countries where there's relatively good policing, where there's an active police force controlling crime and keeping things safe, generally people are happier there. But you don't want your police force to be corrupt, and you don't want them to do things that are illegal. But when you have a police force like that, when you have a police force that does their job well and reduces crime, the citizens are usually quite a bit happier. Healthcare. So one of the things that many people in the world have access to, and a great deal of people don't, is healthcare. as we talk about these needs, there are certain needs that people have that they don't necessarily get. And in the world, one of the things I would love to see is better healthcare in every country around the world. I think that people have a basic need for all kinds of healthcare. If you break your arm, you need to be able to go to the doctor. You need to be able to go to the hospital. So healthcare is definitely a need that we have. If you get sick and you need medicine, or if you're in a car accident, everyone in the world should have access to healthcare and good healthcare. And I hope someday we get to the point where everyone in the world has access to top-notch healthcare, the best healthcare the world can provide. People need family. So family has a number of different meanings in this sense. People need parents. People don't always have siblings, but it's nice to have a cousin or someone your age when you're growing up that you know. It's good to have an uncle, an aunt, grandparents. Families are kind of the basic unit that everyone is familiar with in life. When two people get together and they have a baby, they have started a family. So family is an ongoing need. Even for me at my age, it's really good for me to visit my mom. I enjoy visiting my brothers and sisters. It's nice to have family. People also need friendship. So you can see a bunch of girls hanging out here. They look like a pretty tough gang here, but they are friends. Friendship is something that can be hard to find in life. We also might call this people need connection. People need to be able to hang out with other people from time to time. So friendship is another form of connection. You have connection through family and you have connection through friends or because you have friendships. So it's nice to have friends in life. I find as I get older, it's harder for me to spend time with my friends because all of us are married and have children and our lives are somewhat busy. But friendship is very important. And people have a need for intimacy. So intimacy can be on a number of different levels. It can be sexual. Okay, so people need intimacy. Human beings are meant to be together in that way. But it can also just be like a meeting of the minds. So you can go out with someone who you are attracted to and you can have intimate conversations. So there can be intimacy as you talk to each other because you click. When you click with someone, you get along with them really well. And then as well, intimacy can also refer to things people do in the bedroom. That's all I'm going to say about that. People have a need for community. So we have a need for family. We have a need for friendship. We have a need for intimacy in the form of a spouse or someone who we love. But we also have a broader need for connection in terms of community. People who live in the same town will sometimes have a parade or a festival, or there might be a dance at the community center. They'll do things that build community. They'll do things that help them enjoy the people around them. You also need community when things go badly. In some towns in Canada, there was a little bit of flooding and there was some forest fires. And so people, because they live in community, they take care of each other in times like that. So people have a need for community. And people have a need for dreams. So you'll notice, obviously, having a dream about the future is less important than water. As I talk about needs, they're getting less and less important for day-to-day living, but they are more important for life. And it has been said that having a dream for the future can be a very important thing in life. People need to look to the future and be positive. So they have a dream of finishing an English class. They have a dream of visiting a country that they would really love to visit. Having a dream is just a really good way to stay excited about life every day. So dreams are very, very important. And so sometimes dreams and goals are very similar. Okay, your goal might be to graduate from high school or to graduate from university. Your goal might be to get a really good job. Maybe your goal is to be the president of the United States somehow. We could say that that's a goal or a dream. So my goal in this lesson is to help you learn English. My dream is to teach English on the internet for a very long time. So I've used kind of both those words to help you understand a little bit of the difference between them. But definitely having dreams and goals can really make life more enjoyable. So I think they are things that people need. And I think people need accomplishments. I think you need to have, in English, we have a phrase, a sense of accomplishment. It's nice to have a sense of accomplishment when you finish something. So when I graduated from university, I had a sense of accomplishment. I accomplished something. When I finished the French skill tree in Duolingo a few years ago, I felt that that was an accomplishment in my life. I accomplished something. But now Duolingo added a whole lot more levels, and I feel like I need to go back and do it again. But maybe you feel the same way. Whenever you watch an English TV show and understand it, you feel like that's an accomplishment. You've accomplished something. Or when you start to think in English, that would be a really cool accomplishment for you as well. People need a certain level of respect. They need people to have respect for them. I think that this is something that's missing in the world a little bit right now. A lot of people don't have a lot of respect for other people, but I think it's important for people to respect each other. I think it's important for people to let other people know that they like them and that they appreciate them and that they respect them. Just imagine a classroom where the students don't respect the teacher, or imagine a workplace where the workers don't respect the boss. It becomes not very fun when that happens. So respect is something I think that is very important in the world as well. And I think people need respect. I think when you know that your husband or wife respects you, or when you know that your kids respect you, it builds your self-esteem, which is the next slide. Self-esteem is when you feel good about yourself. I think people need good self-esteem on this planet. I think when you feel like you are an important person, that you have a good job, when you feel like you're doing a good job as a parent, when you feel like you're helping your community, you get good self-esteem. You feel good about yourself. You respect yourself. So I think self-esteem is an incredibly important thing for people to have in life. Because when you have low self-esteem, when you don't have good respect for yourself, it can make the day very, very difficult for you. So another need that people have, people need self-esteem. And I think people have a basic need for education. I think people need education when they're younger, when they're children, from about age 4 or 5 to about age, 18 to 25, depending on how long you stay in university. But I think the happiest people I know in life are the people who are still learning new things, even at age 40 or 50 or 60. So I think human beings, because we're basically an animal with a really good brain, I think we have this need to learn things. And I think that the longer you go actively learning new things, the happier you will be in life. I think people have a need to be entertained. This can be as simple as playing cards with a friend. This might be going to a sporting event. It might be entertaining for you to just watch the sun come up in the morning. But I think people need to be distracted from everyday life. They need something that entertains them. It might be listening to music. It might be going for a walk, those kinds of things. But people need, I think at some level, they need entertainment. I think people need exercise. I think we kind of forget this, that our bodies need to move. We need to walk or run or play a sport or do things that just help us stay healthy. I think it's very important but often overlooked, that exercise is a good thing to do. And I think people need a place to call their own, or a place to call your own. What I mean by this is, even when I was a kid, I shared a bedroom with my two brothers. All three of us had the same room, but I had a bed and a desk, and it was mine. And it was the place in the house that was my own. And I think humans have this basic need to have a place to call your own. Either it's your apartment, it might be your house, it might be a room that you live in. Maybe you still live with your parents or you live with other roommates. But everyone has this basic need, I think, to call at least a little part of this planet their own. I think it is definitely, I have that need for sure. This room is the place I call my own. Other people use this room, but it's generally considered Dad's studio or Bob's studio or office. And yeah, it's just nice to have a place where, you know, your things can be and no one else touches them, or where you can just quietly read a book. I think people need hobbies or pastimes. This is very similar to entertainment, but I think people need work, but they also need things that they do outside of work. I think they need to play games like chess or checkers. I think they need to, maybe they play in a sports league, so it's exercise, but it's also a hobby. Maybe they enjoy photography. Maybe they enjoy art. I did a whole lesson on hobbies and pastimes if you want to watch that. And I think people need purpose in life. When we talk about purpose, it means that there's something that makes you feel valuable. So for me, my purpose in life, I have a few purposes in life. One purpose is, my purpose in life is to be a good husband and a good dad, okay? Another purpose I have in life is I go to work and I teach high school students how to speak French and use computers. Another purpose I have in life is I teach English on YouTube. I think when you have a purpose in life, it's just nice. You feel like you are making the world a better place somehow. And of course, to some degree, you need money. Everyone needs money. Most people would like more money than what they have, but having money is just something you need in order to go through life. If you want to buy groceries, you need money. If you want to buy gas or petrol, if you're speaking British English, you need money. If you want to, if you want to eat, you need money. Usually water's free in most countries. But if you want a house, you need money to buy the house. So money is definitely a need, which helps you get your other needs. It's a means to an end. There's another English phrase for you. And we talked about this earliness. We talked about this earlier. I think people have a basic need for cleanliness. At one level, keeping your house clean and keeping your city clean prevents diseases. But it also, I think, is a nice feeling. When your house is tidy and when your kitchen and bathroom are clean, I think it's a nice feeling. I think humans like to have things orderly, and I think they like things clean. That doesn't mean we're always clean. In fact, behind me, it looks very clean. But over there in that corner where you can't see, it's quite messy. But definitely, I would say people have a desire for cleanliness and sanitation. So sanitation is just a bigger word for keeping things clean. It's nice when streets are clean and when stores are clean and when your house is clean. And I think people need a sense of peace. I think we see that when there is conflict in the world, it is stressful. I think people need peace. They need a peaceful day. And this relates back to safety and security. I think humans have a basic desire for peace. And I think we need joy. I think it's sometimes hard to be happy. I know for myself, I'm usually happy, but sometimes I'm not. But having joy in your day, having something that brings you joy and makes you smile is very, very cool. I would say it's a need. It might be a want. People want joy. People want happiness, but I think we need it. I think if a smile is good. And then hope. I think people need to think about the future in a positive way. I think we've just been through a pandemic. I think it's hard to be positive about the future, but I think we have to have hope that the future is bright, that the world is getting better, that it's not getting worse. And it can be very challenging, especially those of you, I know some of you are from countries where there's a lot of strife or where there's war or where there's conflict. And I think you need hope. You need to believe that the future will be better for you and maybe for your kids if you have children as well. So hope is the last slide. That's the one that I will end on. I think it's probably one of the most important ones. We all need to have hope for the future.